The 1217 Treaty of Kingston, ending the First Barons' War and French claims to the English throne. The Treaty of Kingston, signed in September 1217, marked a significant turning point in English history. This treaty ended the First Barons' War, a conflict that had raged from 1215 to 1217 between the English crown, led by King John and later his young son, King Henry III, and a faction of rebellious English barons. The treaty also effectively ended French claims to the English throne, asserted by Prince Louis of France, who had invaded England in support of the rebelling barons. The Treaty of Kingston not only brought a measure of peace to a war-torn England, but also laid the groundwork for the country's future governance and the consolidation of the Angevin dynasty. Let's explore the causes of the First Barons' War, the events leading up to the Treaty of Kingston, the negotiations and terms of the treaty, and its consequences on English and European politics. The First Barons' War, causes and context. The First Barons' War was rooted in a complex web of political, economic, and social tensions that characterized the reign of King John, 1199 to 1216. King John's rule was marked by a series of military failures, especially his defeat by King Philip II of France at the Battle of Bouvines in 1214, which led to the loss of Normandy, a significant English possession. This loss, coupled with John's heavy taxation policies to finance his military campaigns and his arbitrary use of royal power, sparked widespread discontent among the English barons. In 1215, this discontent reached a boiling point. The barons, frustrated by John's perceived tyrannical rule and his failure to respect feudal rights and customs, rebelled against him. They compelled the king to sign the Magna Carta, a document that sought to limit the powers of the crown and protect the rights of the nobility and commoners alike. However, the peace was short-lived. King John soon reneged on the agreement, leading to the outbreak of the First Barons' War. During the war, the barons sought support from Prince Louis of France, the son of King Philip II, offering him the English throne in exchange for military assistance. In 1216, Louis invaded England with a French force, quickly capturing much of the south and east of England, including London. King John's death in October 1216, however, changed the course of the war. John's 9-year-old son, Henry III, was crowned king, with William Marshal, Earl of Pembroke, appointed as his regent. The new leadership, coupled with internal divisions among the rebels and dwindling French support, set the stage for the Treaty of Kingston. Events leading up to the Treaty of Kingston. The Treaty of Kingston was the culmination of several pivotal events that shifted the balance of power in favor of the English crown and its loyalists. The Regency government, under the astute leadership of William Marshal, sought to consolidate support by reissuing a modified version of the Magna Carta in November 1216. This reissue aimed to win over moderate barons and undermine the rebel cause by showing a willingness to reform. The turning point in the conflict came in August 1217 at the Battle of Lincoln. Here, the Loyalist forces, led by William Marshal, achieved a decisive victory over the French and rebel forces. This defeat was compounded by the subsequent naval Battle of Sandwich, where the English fleet destroyed a French supply fleet, cutting off Louis's access to reinforcements and supplies. With his position in England increasingly untenable, Louis was forced to negotiate. Negotiations and terms of the treaty. The negotiations that led to the Treaty of Kingston took place in September 1217, at Kingston upon Thames, between representatives of the young King Henry III and Prince Louis. The key negotiators on the English side included William Marshal and the papal legate Guillaume Bicquieri, while the French side was represented by prominent figures close to Louis. The terms of the treaty reflected the weakened position of Prince Louis and his recognition that his claim to the English throne was no longer viable. The Treaty of Kingston stipulated that 1. Prince Louis would renounce all claims to the English throne. This was the most significant concession made by Louis. He recognized Henry III as the legitimate King of England and agreed not to support any future rebellions against him. 2. Amnesty for rebels. The English crown granted a general amnesty to all English barons who had supported Louis, allowing them to retain their lands and titles. This clause was designed to promote reconciliation and restore stability in the kingdom. 3. Payment of reparations. In return for his renunciation, Louis was offered a substantial sum of money, 7,000 marks, to cover the costs of his military expedition and to compensate for his losses. This payment was facilitated by the English crown and was seen as a way to expedite Louis's departure from England. 4. Withdrawal of French forces. Louis agreed to withdraw all French forces from England, bringing an end to the foreign intervention that had prolonged the conflict. 5. Reaffirmation of the Magna Carta. The treaty reiterated the importance of the Magna Carta, reinforcing the notion that the king was subject to the law. This was a crucial step in the evolution of constitutional governance in England. Consequences of the treaty. The Treaty of Kingston had far-reaching consequences for England, France, and the broader European political landscape. Firstly, it marked the end of the First Barons' War, restoring a degree of peace and stability to a country that had been ravaged by internal strife and foreign invasion. The successful resolution of the conflict allowed for the consolidation of the Angevin dynasty, with Henry III's reign continuing for over 50 years, despite the challenges he faced in his later years. For the English crown, the treaty represented a significant victory. It not only reaffirmed Henry III's legitimacy but also set a precedent for the idea that even kings were not above the law, a concept enshrined in the Magna Carta. The peaceful settlement with the barons paved the way for a period of relative stability and set the stage for future constitutional developments in England. For France, the treaty was a setback. Prince Louis's withdrawal marked the end of French ambitions to claim the English throne, at least for the immediate future. While Louis would later become King Louis VIII of France, his failure in England diminished his prestige and curtailed French influence across the Channel. However, the treaty did not entirely sever Anglo-French relations. Instead, it set the groundwork for a more stable, albeit often contentious, relationship between the two kingdoms in the years to come. Broader implications of the treaty. The Treaty of Kingston also had broader implications for European politics and diplomacy. It demonstrated the importance of negotiation and compromise in resolving conflicts, even in a period often characterized by violence and feudal warfare. The involvement of the papal legate, Guala Bicchieri, underscored the significance of the Church as a mediator in European affairs. This mediation was crucial in legitimizing the peace settlement and ensuring its acceptance by both parties. Furthermore, the treaty highlighted the evolving nature of governance and the role of law in medieval Europe. By reaffirming the Magna Carta, the treaty contributed to the gradual shift away from absolutist rule towards a more constitutional form of governance, where the rights of various stakeholders, including the barons and commoners, were increasingly recognized. The Treaty of Kingston, signed in 1217, was a decisive moment in English history. It ended the First Barons' War, effectively quelling the rebellion against the young King Henry III and extinguishing French claims to the English throne. The treaty's terms promoted reconciliation, restored stability, and reaffirmed the principles of the Magna Carta, laying the groundwork for the future evolution of English governance. It also demonstrated the power of negotiation and compromise in resolving conflicts, setting a precedent for the diplomatic and constitutional development that would shape England and Europe in the centuries to come. By understanding the Treaty of Kingston, we gain insights into the complex interplay of power, politics, and law that defined medieval England and the broader European world. Thanks for listening. Like and comment. And please subscribe, as that will help us get more videos out to those interested in the Middle Ages. See you next time on Medieval Chronicles 1066. Stay curious.